The living room was cast in shadows lit only by the faint glow of the laptop screen and the soft hum of the ceiling fan above. Job sat at the old, scuffed coffee table, eyes scanning the latest reports about the missing children, torn with a gnawing sense of frustration. The room around him was sparse, an old sofa with a worn blanket draped over it, a few framed photos gathering dust on a shelf, and Kiona curled up on the floor beside him, ears twitching at every stray noise that broke the silence. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, indifferent to the world's horrors. Job leaned back, rubbing a hand over his face, the rough stubble catching on his palm. Normally, he kept his focus on the things most people preferred not to believe in, cryptids, and creatures that haunted the edge of nightmares. But this was different. This was real in a way that cut deeper. He clicked through news articles, police statements, public outcries. Each story painted a picture more hopeless than the last. A violent killer was on the loose. The story had spread like wildfire through the city, whispered in bars, printed in red ink across tabloids, spat out in hushed warnings to keep children close. But the killer's pattern was impossible to pin down. No motives, no witnesses, just bodies, hollowed out, hearts missing, and more questions than answers. Job's phone buzzed, pulling him out of his grim reverie. He grabbed it from the table, the screen lighting up with a message notification from Walter. His eyes narrowed as he opened it. The humor he usually found in Walter's texts was absent. Got a lead on the missing children, the ones from the bus. Contact wants to meet tomorrow at Paris Hill Park. A sharp bark from Kiona startled Job out of his thoughts. He glanced down, meeting her intelligent eyes, the reflection of the laptop's glow shimmering in them. She sensed his unease. Job pushed his chair back and stood, pacing the small room as he weighed his options. Normally, he'd pass off a tip like this as nothing more than a desperate attempt to lure thrill seekers or others into a trap. But if there was even a chance that this source knew something, how could he ignore it? He stopped by the window, peering out into the silent street where the lights flickered like dying stars. The city seemed so still, so deceptively peaceful. But Job knew what lurked beneath the surface, the things that slithered in the dark corners. Job returned to his desk as he stared at the message from Walter. A lifelong friend, one of many that joined him in this cause. A good man. Too good. They agreed to hunt the paranormal, the elusive cryptids and creatures of the night. That alone was dangerous, but he was not ready to expose them to the nightmares of man. Not yet. Before he could finish typing his message to the team, his phone rang. Not the phone he held firmly within his hand, but another, a small burner phone that received little use, yet he carried it close to him at all times. Eager he had been for this moment, any contact whatsoever. He had waited months for that phone to ring, for her to reach out. And now, in the quiet dark, it finally did. Quickly he pulled the burner from his pocket and stared at the dim digital screen of muted green and black. Job paused a moment, taking a deep breath before reading the text. The message, however, was not what he expected. The timing startled him, almost prescient, and as if it anticipated his hesitation. The message was simple, but it was enough. Enough for him to discard his previous worries and concerns. He knew what he had to do. He stared at the message once more. Her message. Find the missing children. Find the hollow heart killer.